There was a woman named Ivy who seemed to hold in her mouth all of the sounds of Pauline's soul. Standing a little apart from the choir, Ivy sang the dark sweetness that Pauline could not name. She sang the death-defying death that Pauline yearned for. She sang of the stranger who knew. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I'm tired, I'm weak, I am worn. Through the storms, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call. Hold my hand, lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. Thus it was that when the stranger, the someone, did appear out of nowhere, Pauline was grateful, but not surprised. He came, strutting right out of a Kentucky sun on the hottest day of the year. He came big, he came strong, he came with yellow eyes, flaring nostrils, and he came with his own music. Pauline was leaning idly on the fence, her arms resting on the cross rail between the pickets. She just put down some biscuit dough and was cleaning the flour from under her nails. Behind her, at some distance, she heard whistling, one of those rapid, high-note riffs that black boys make up as they go while sweeping and shoveling or just walking along. A kind of city street music where laughter belies anxiety and joy is as short and straight as the blade of a pocket knife. She listened carefully to the music and let it pull her lips into a smile. The whistling got louder, and still she did not turn around, for she wanted it to last. While smiling to herself and holding fast to the break in somber thoughts, she felt something tickling her foot. She laughed aloud and turned to see. The whistler was bending down, tickling her broken foot and kissing her leg. She could not stop her laughter, not until he looked up at her, and she saw the Kentucky sun drenching the yellow, heavy-lidded eyes of Charlie Breedlove. When I first see Charlie, I want you to know it was like all the bits of color from that time down home, when all us children went berry picking after funeral, and I put some in the pocket of my Sunday dress, and they mashed up and stained my hips. My whole dress was messed up with purple. It never did wash out. Not the dress, nor me. I could feel that purple deep inside me. And the lemonade Mama used to make when Pap came in out of the field. It'd be cool and yellowish, with seeds floating near the bottom. And that streak of green them June bugs made on the trees the night we left them down home. All them colors was in me, just sitting there. So when Charlie come up and took on my foot, it was like them berries, that lemonade, them streaks of green the June bugs made all come together. Charlie was thin then, with real light eyes. He used to whistle, and when I heard him, shivers come on my skin. I was born in Lorain, Ohio, 1931. My mother and a family from Alabama, my father from Georgia. My maiden name is Wofford. My married name is Morrison. I was a very good student, but I don't think I went to college because of that. I wanted to leave that town, and that was the way to go. I chose Howard because it was a black university, and I really wanted to be among what I thought would be intelligent black people by the boatload.
Although she and her sons now have an apartment in New York City, Toni Morrison's real home is an hour's commute away in the town of Spring Valley in Rockland County, New York.
So she sits across the river. She took me to her real estate person who showed me 11 houses in that day. And my mother says to me, you moved all the way to New York to live in a place that looks like Lorain, Ohio. And I said, yes. When I wrote Sula, it was because I knew then I couldn't stop writing. The same thing with Song of Solomon. I always wrote for the people in the book. Those are always the people over my shoulder who watch. And they say, I didn't say that. Or they say, okay, that's just about right. I suppose the bluest Sky was about one's dependency on the world for identification, self-value, feelings of worth. Whereas I wanted to explore something quite the opposite in Sula, where you have a woman who is whimsical, who depends on her own instincts. And both exaggerations I find deplorable, but my way is to push everything out to the edge to see if what it is really made, so that Sula would be, quote, a free woman. There's a lot of danger in that, you know, because you don't have commitments and you don't feel that connection. I think freedom ideally is being able to choose your responsibilities. Not having any responsibilities, but being able to choose which things you want to be responsible for. And so she is paired with a friend, Nell, who is the salt of the earth, who takes on the responsibilities of her children and whatever, as opposed to her very close friend, who has none, accepts none, and really and truly operates out of whim, and whatever mood strikes her. Eva was mean. Sula even said so. There was no good reason for her to speak so. Feeble-minded or not, old, whatever, Eva knew what she was doing, always had. She'd stayed away from Sula's funeral and accused Nell of drowning Chicken Little for spite. The same spite that galloped all over the bottom, that made every gesture an offense, every off-center smile a threat, so that even the bubbles of relief that broke in the chest of practically everybody when Sula died did not soften their spite and allow them to go to Mr. Hodges' funeral parlor or send flowers from the church or bake a yellow cake. She thought about Nathan opening the bedroom door the day she had visited her and finding the body. He said he knew right away she was dead, not because her eyes were open, but because her mouth was. It looked to him like a giant yawn that she never got to finish. He had run across the street to Teapot's mama, who, when she heard the news, said, "Ho!" like the conductor on the train when it was about to take off, except louder. And then she did a little dance. None of the women left their quilt patches in disarray to run to the house. Nobody left the clothes halfway through the ringer to run to the house. Even the men just said, when they heard. The day passed and no one came. The night slipped into another day and the body was still lying in Eva's bed, gazing at the ceiling, trying to complete a yawn. It was very strange, the stubbornness about Sula. For even when China, the most rambunctious whore in the town, died, whose black son and white son said when they heard she was dying, "She ain't dead yet." Even then, everybody stopped what they were doing and turned out in numbers to put the fallen sister away. It was Nell who finally called the hospital, then the mortuary, then the police, who were the ones to come. So the white people took over. They came in a police van and carried the body down the steps past the 4 pear trees and into the van for all the world, as with Hannah. When the police asked questions, nobody gave them any information. It took them hours to find out the dead woman's first name. The call was for Miss Peace at 7 Carpenter's Road. So they left with that, a body, a name, and an address. The white people had to wash her, dress her, prepare her, and finally lower her. It was all done elegantly, for it was discovered that she had a substantial death policy. Nell went to the funeral parlor, but was so shocked by the closed coffin, she stayed only a few minutes. The following day, Nell walked to the burying and found herself the only black person there, stealing her mind to the roses and pulleys. It was only when she turned to leave that she saw the cluster of black folk at the lip of the cemetery, not coming in, not dressed for mourning, but there, waiting. Not until the white folks left, the grave diggers, Mr. and Mrs. Hodges, and their young son who assisted them, did those black people from up in the bottom enter with hooded hearts and filed eyes to sing, "Shall we gather at the river?" over the curved earth that cut them off from the most magnificent hatred they had ever known. Their question clotted the October air. Shall we gather at the river? The beautiful river. Perhaps Sula answered them even then, for it began to rain, and the women ran in tiny leaps through the grass for fear their straightened hair would beat them home. Sadly, heavily, Nell left the colored part of the cemetery. Further along the road, Shadrach passed her by. A little shaggier, a little older, still energetically mad, he looked at the woman hurrying along the road with the sunset in her face. He stopped, trying to remember where he'd seen her before. The effort of recollection was too much for him, and he moved on. He had to haul some trash out at Sunnydale, and it would be good and dark before he got home. He hadn't sold fish in a long time now. The river had killed them all. No more silver gray flashes. No more flat, wide, unhurried look. No more slowing down of gills. No more trimmer on the line. Shadrach and Nell moved in opposite directions, each thinking separate thoughts about the past. The distance between them increased as they both remembered gone things. Suddenly Nell stopped. Her eye twitched and burned a little. "Sula?" she whispered, gazing at the tops of trees. "Sula?" Leaves stirred, mud shifted. There was a smell of overripe green things, a soft ball of fur broken, scattered like dandelion spores in the breeze. All that time, I thought I was missing June. And the loss pressed down on her chest and came up into her throat. "We was girls together," she said, as though explaining something. "Oh, Lord, Sula," she cried. "Girl, girl, 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 girl." It was a fine cry, loud and long, but it had no bottom, and it had no top, just circles and circles